Zamo keeps asking this. What do y'all recommend for apologetics aimed at postmodern hermeneutics?
That's a tricky question.
You mean like progressives writing hermeneutics, like reading, doing Bible exegesis?
Like you should read texts on postmodern hermeneutics. In fact, maybe I could do a Trinity radio exercise. That'd be a good idea. But look, the best apologetics needs to recognize, and I agree with Sam Frost on this. Number one, it's ultimately an untenable position, just like postmodernism itself. People do mean things, but with what they say. But postmodernism has done a favor in the sense, so this is number two, that you need to recognize that it does challenge us to understand our filters when we read texts. And so my response is, yes, I understand that we have filters through which we read texts or whatever, but when you write something and when you're having this conversation, you mean something to communicate. And so did authors, and audiences had filters for which they filtered that too. So all it means is that we need to do more homework. And this was one of the critiques that Daniel Sanchez wrote in a hermeneutics book that he contributed to, edited by Lemke and a couple of Steve Lemke, and then two other guys. This is escaping me. But Daniel Sanchez in his article was writing about one of the shortcomings of the grammatical historical hermeneutic approach is that we put a lot of emphasis on grammar and then less emphasis on the historical context, but we even get the historical context wrong because we're looking at it from the perspective of trivia, like historical facts. Like the example I like to give is in any Romans commentary, you're going to read that, well, Claudius expelled the Jews from Rome in 49, and then, of course, they filtered back in later time, and then some of those converted to Christianity, and that's why you have a majority Gentile but sizable Jew minority, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, that's just a trivia thing. That tells you nothing about the culture. It tells you no sociological information that rounds out our historical perspective. And so when you're talking to people who are championing postmodern hermeneutics, one thing is to reinforce the validity of that words mean things, authors meant something, and their audiences were intending to understand. And number two, that it just requires us to do more homework for a historical reconstruction that includes the sociological dimensions so that we can understand what the author intended to communicate.